I am Hera. My full name is Hera Hussain. I work at the Open Contracting Partnership as a Senior Advocacy Manager. And what that really means is I make the case for why contracts should be open. And I'm also part of the Open Herons group, which is all about women, gender, open data, and civic tech. Well, public procurement is really the bedrock of how government use public spending to create the roads, the hospitals, the schools we need. But it is a very, very old-fashioned sector. It's pretty much in the 20th century, and it's like, we're trying to drag it back into the 21st century. So over the past few years, let me rephrase that. It has always been a government's #1 corruption risk. So there are lots of problems with how contract money is planned, spent, who it's spent with. There's lots of corruption scandals happening right now, even in the country that we're in. As we speak, there's an investigation going on. So the idea behind open contracting is that wouldn't it be great if everyone had access to how government uses public procurement and how it disperses that public spending. So, and we've seen in the past 5 years that there's been a real increase in the publishing of contracts, starting from Slovakia, which became the first country to say that no contract is enforceable unless it's published. So, after lots of really horrible corruption scandals, they made that step. So open contracting really came out of, was inspired by that and a couple of other things. And we now have 40 countries have committed to, implementing the open contracting principles, and we also have a data standard, an open data standard, which helps governments collect and publish that data across the entire public procurement chain, starting from how projects are planned to where the award is given to implementation. So is the school actually there? How is the money spent? Things like that. We've seen really good progress, but at the same time, we've had a peak. So in 2016, we had a sharp increase in lots of countries committing to do open contracting. So the good thing is that countries see this as a thing of value. They know they can save money. So one of our the case study that we always use is that from Ukraine, which after the revolution really, totally tore up all of their public procurement system from a paper-based model to make it really innovative and technology-driven, and embedded open data at the heart of it. And that led to $1 billion in savings for them, halving of the corruption risk that businesses thought that they had in the public procurement cycle, and also created a real citizen monitoring platforms. So that's our best case study. And then we've seen in Colombia where it has busted a price fixing scandal and how school meals are delivered in the city of Bogota. So there are lots of really interesting examples like that. And then when you look at how many countries commit to open contracting and how many countries actually go that far, that is where the challenge is. It's very exciting as a commitment, but not many countries are willing to go the hard way in changing their processes, because it's not just about the data. It's the process of how they structure their contracts, how some contracts are this long. Some government departments, even in the UK, which prides itself in being a bastion of open data and transparency, and is an innovator in open contracting. Some departments only give companies 10 days to tender for millions of pounds worth of contract. That shouldn't happen. Sure. So Open Herons is a community of women who work in open data, civic tech, and open government. So we really have no agenda. Our agenda is that we're putting together all these women who are working, people who identify as women, and want a space, a safe space to discuss their career, to help each other, support each other, but also to kind of think about things that are wrong in our space, because, as you said, inclusion, we are, people always say, open data is about the impact we want on humans, on society. But those values of fairness and accountability, we need to embed them in our own organizations as well. So Open Hearings is a safe space to vent when that doesn't happen, and then to come up with ways to support each other. So one of the ways that we support, like a very basic example of how we've supported different members in the community is of light mentoring. So when someone is nervous about a presentation coming up or is nervous about a project and they just want to talk to people who understand what they do, this is the space to do it. If someone is having trouble, sometimes quite serious troubles in the workplace, then that's a safe space where they can discuss how they're feeling and what actual action can be done. And we've managed to carve out a space for us in the open data space. We have had panels at the OGP, IODC, so it really shows there's real appetite for women who work in this sector to be heard and recognized.